Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Now, coming up, we have our very famous culinary and wine segment brought to you by Bice Cucina. And this week, we are featuring foodie Michele Figliuolo, owner of FIG, F-I-G, which stands for Food is Good. Now, as she gets settled into the broadcast room, let's chat millennial moms and the real deal behind our recipe choices, produce selections, and overall food attitudes. Now, us moms are currently juggling a slew of different responsibilities, and we have a ton on our plate, literally. And millennial moms, approximately aged 25 to 40, we are a generation of influencers, and our influence is causing a ripple effect in today's consumer trends, especially those concentrated around food. Millennials are more conscious of food health than generations past, as well as more invested in finding food adventures and especially food that delivers new flavors. And this is especially true now that we are all grown up and starting our very own families. And as parents, the millennial mindset take on food is now being shifted towards healthier consumptions and recipes that are time efficient. About 1 in 4 millennials are already parents, meaning they are influencing what their families eat and are contributing to the eating patterns and habits that will guide the next generation of consumers. As sustainable diets continue to gain popularity, millennial moms are focusing less on calories and more on where our food comes from. And here to break it all down for us is Michele. She is a famous chef and food stylist. She's worked on ABC's Emmy award-winning show The Chew and Food Network's Chopped. She currently works as a chef, a culinary producer, and food stylist for Middleby Residential, which is a collection of premier international appliance brands such as La Cornue, AGA, and Viking. She's also a fellow 201 magazine cover model, written up by editor-at-large John Flynn, who very carefully selects all covers, giving credit where credit is due. Congrats and welcome to the show, Stunner.
Thank you so much for having me, Zen. I am so excited to be here with you and fellow 201 cover girls. We got to, support each other, so I really appreciate it.
Without a doubt, you are stunning and glowing. I love
Oh,
your
thank you.
setup. For
Thank
those
you so
for
much.
those of us listening, she is surrounded by incredible, tasty dishes and food and ingredients that she's going to prepare for us today. But briefly, wow, what an exciting career! And Bergen County is very lucky to have you, my dear. Tell
Thank
me
you.
real quick before we dive into your food tips and favorite recipes, what inspired you to become a chef and food stylist?
So, I really got my start growing up in an American Italian family. Food was everything. We always gathered around the table, Sunday dinner, and I loved seeing what food really did for people. It brought us together. It was a time for family to really make memories. So I went to culinary school. I went to Johnson and Wales in Providence, Rhode Island, and that's where I gained all my basic skills. So methods to cooking, your knife skills and all that. But really, I went to work in restaurants after that, and that's where I gained most of my knowledge. I was working the lines in some restaurants in Rhode Island, and then after that, I realized it's a little repetitive for me. I love it, but I don't know if it's as creative as I want it to be, and that's what led me into the food styling world and led me to the chew.
And you do such a great job. For those of you that don't follow her on social media, you should, because all of her posts are very,
Thank
very
you.
mouth-watering and very enticing. All right, so let's chat local produce, right? Here in
Yes.
Bergen County, big shout out to Closter Farms and Livestock Company, or even Allsteed Farms in Chester, New Jersey. But for us millennials, I feel like locally grown produce is almost a reflection of our personality, which is a major purchase driver. And the drive to purchase local also stems from especially my desire to help support local communities. And this is a trend that is especially strong among millennial moms. But buying locally, by buying locally, I know that I believe that I can support not just my local business and farmers, but also our local economy. Walk me through some tips that help set the tone for healthy yet flavorful recipes in your kitchen, Michele.
Yes. So for myself, I hope to be a mom soon. I'm engaged right now, so maybe in the next few years, but I love to cook, and that's, what I do every day. But I'm also really passionate about eating healthy and making sure you know what you're putting into your body. So when you go to the store now, all these places, they're putting a lot of stuff into our food that we don't know about. I really, or I'm constantly checking the label, even if I'm getting something like olives or a cheese or this or that, because I want to know what's being put into it. And my thing is I like to keep it as simple as possible. So if there's a bunch of ingredients, I usually put it away. And I like to keep things at home also as simple, and really using those flavors like herbs and salt, and using the quality ingredients to make it really stand out.
Agreed. And, you know, even simple things like switching to organic produce where you're avoiding a
Yes,
lot of the pesticides will definitely
exactly.
add a lot and contribute to overall the amount of carcinogens that we're ingesting on a daily level with all the chemtrails being left behind. But okay, we have about 8.5 minutes left in the segment, and I want to get to the nitty gritty of it all. If you had about 15 or 20 minutes and you have less to prep a healthy, sustainable, and tasty dish, what would it be? And your clock starts now. You're going to walk us through the ingredients, but I still want to talk
Yes.
kitchen with you. So go.
Yes, so quickly. The best and quick thing, especially for moms on the go too, I go to the basics. I love a frittata. A frittata, you have your protein, you can throw whatever you have in your kitchen in that, any veggies, and then kind of put some good cheeses in there too, and your kids will love it. I have some regular mozzarella cheese. I have also, I'm going to put in today some peppers and onions. And then basically, we're just going to start with our farm fresh eggs. I have some eggs cracked already. It's about 8 eggs. I'm going to add 2 more in to make it 10. And this is so simple and fast. You could basically get this done, I mean, in under 20 minutes for sure. And the other part of it too is once you have it all made, you can keep it in the fridge, and it could be a lunch, it could be a snack, you know, it could be a quick dinner with a salad on top, which that's what I would do. And if it's a salad on top, you could even serve this at a brunch with your girlfriends too, and then save it for the kids. It doesn't have to be, you know, 6 different meals for everyone, which
There
is
you
nice.
go. Absolutely. And guys, she's cooking live on the air right now, and she's walking us through
Yes,
this tasty dish, mouth-watering dish, mind you. And
yes.
all the points that you just made are 100% valid. I love to start Alexa in the morning with eggs. Eggs is her staple. I mean, she's been eating them since she's probably 6 months old. She prefers egg whites, but I like to spice it up with ricotta cheeses and whatnot. Show me what you have going
Yes.
there. Walk me through your next step there.
So what I have here is I put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in. Like to use ghee as well sometimes. I'm super into knowing what oils, because oils are so inflammatory and they're putting it into a lot of stuff now. So I like ghee, regular butter, olive oil, and that's pretty much it. But in here I have just some white onion, and then really vibrant red, orange, yellow bell peppers here. I'm just going to saute those down a little bit, and then we're just going to really add the eggs in. The eggs are farm fresh eggs. I actually got them from A.M.O.X Farm, which is a farm in Bergen County that I love. They have so many great things, and I actually worked there when I was younger too. So it's, you know, a little bit of my old history being at A.M.O.X Farm, which is great. Another thing too that you can do is you can always make these into little muffin rounds, and then you can freeze them. So if you need to pop them out, do a quick little snack for your kids, instead of making this large frittata, you can do that as well, and it's a little bit easier.
And for those of you, she just held up that were listening, she just held up a muffin rack with pre-cut out little cup muffin holders. That is a great idea. And of course, she's all about the visual presentation. So Michele, if you know any styling tools, your tips to keep in mind that work great and help make dishes look enticing?
Yes. So on a photo shoot, sometimes, you know, I'm using little tweezers and things like that to make things perfect on a photo shoot for print. But on the shows like The Chew and when I was at Chopped, they had to be edible things. You know, sometimes they're not edible when you're working, but on those they had to be edible. So just using really vibrant vegetables, using fresh produce, and then also using those fresh herbs. You want to have color. You know, you eat with your senses. So smell, taste, anything like that. If you can pull people in with the visual, they'll love it.
Exactly, right. Because as a food stylist, presentation is so important in your work, and it happens to be at the basis of all dishes. In fact, if it doesn't look pretty and enticing, I don't want to try it. Is the mindset of not only just the average child, but even my husband. He's all about visual presentation. And as a mom, I can tell you that kids live by this. They love it when things look pretty, interesting, and fun. So what you do speaks to not just the production and television world, so to speak, but also to the kids themselves, because they want to be, having a good time, and they want to feel good about what they're eating and feel, sit at the table and feel like they're part of something that is eventful. And that brings me back to the one thing I remember growing up that my grandmother always insisted on was Sunday lunch. The entire family had to gather around, typically after church, and she would make this insane amount of food. And I just remember eating from like 12 to 4 p.m. It was the craziest thing. But
Yeah.
that's what growing up Greek does for you.
Exactly. And it's funny because we did the same thing. Actually, yesterday we went to my fiance's family on Staten Island and we had the same thing. We had some pasta and then we had, the meat and everything like that. But it's important to keep those traditions alive. And I think that you can implement them with the millennial twist too by making them a little healthier. So you could still have that, but just try to go for, pastas with less ingredients, or if you could make it from scratch, if you have the time, do that. And those are kind of the traditions that you can implement in your life today too and keep them alive.
Yes, of course, and of course, everything in moderation. Limit the consumption to red meat, to a moderation, and to something that's, that fits your dietary needs. And I think everything in moderation and balancing things out is more importantly. But the food choices that are available to us right now, and especially as millennials, are not something that was available per se 2 decades ago, because of the way that people have now woken up and risen up and saying, hey, listen, enough with the GMOs, enough with the
Yep.
pesticides, enough with the high fructose corn syrup. We are not going to breed a generation of children that are diabetic and high blood pressure and overweight and leads to cardiovascular disease, because this is the future and we have to focus on it. So having people like you around makes it easy, makes it simple, and it makes it fun. So thank you.
Oh no, of course. I do truly love it. I love to cook, but I also love to cook for my family and for myself and my fiance. We don't eat crazy all the time. We have to watch what you eat, but we could also make it taste really good too. And the thing that I just wanted to let you know too is I finished up this beautiful frittata. It's going to go in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. Once you give it a little bit of a scramble in the pan, then when it comes out, you have a beautiful color on top. You have some reds, yellows, oranges. And then what I'm doing now for the adults, if you want to serve it to your kids, you totally can as well. But I'm just making a little salad to put on top. So a quick vinaigrette. I love extra virgin olive oil. I do a little balsamic, a little honey, and then just a little bit of salt. And then I'm going to give that a little bit of a mix. And then I'm just going to toss my salad in that. And that's going to be the simple salad on top. You could also add, I have here some cherry tomatoes I'm going to add to that, and add whatever you have around. Use what's fresh, use what's seasonal too. Using stuff that's seasonal is really important. And you could really keep this all week long in the fridge for the frittata and just add a different salad to it. And, girlfriends will love it, kids will love it, everyone will love this. So it's simple and delicious.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Michele, thank you so much for coming on today. And really quickly, favorite dessert. What's your favorite dessert?
So my favorite dessert, I would probably have to say my homemade tiramisu. I love tiramisu.
Ooh, love that. Well, maybe
Yes.
you should do a little post about it and tag us when you do make the tiramisu, and all our listeners and followers could follow you. You guys have to check her out on the gram. She's at Food is Great, right? Underscore
Food is
FIG.
good underscore FIG.
Food is right.
Yes.
Food is good underscore FIG. Lots of information to remember. But I do know her website. Head to Michele Figliuolo. So that's Figliuolo. So Michele
Yes, a lot of
Figliuolo.
vowels.
.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. Michele, thanks so much for being an awesome guest and fun.